What time is it?
We've got a minute to go. So it's automatically being recorded and then will be downloaded and distributed via the affiliate toolkit. And we'll be able to provide like a YouTube link as well there. So yeah, just if we wait until time
Hmm.
and then I'll do a quick little introduction with you. And then if anyone on the call wishes to ask questions, the best way of doing that, that kind of thing. Okay.
Excellent. I just need to check my notes are going to come up.
They are up.
Oh, my presentation or my notes?
Presentation.
Oh, okay, cool. Bear with.
Gray, do you want to rename yours?
Uh, how?
If you go to the three little dots, top right of your picture, I think,
Hmm.
and
Rename.
then rename, yeah.
Awesome. All right, so welcome everyone. Today we're going to be having a presentation from Kate, Graham, and Hannah in regards to what you see on the screen in front, Strength Beyond Walls. But rather than me kind of butcher what they want to discuss and talk about, if you could kind of sort of take it away and then just lead into the presentation. What we always recommend that if during the presentation anyone wants to ask a question, just to pop it in the chat box, and then Gareth or myself will then pose the question at that given time, if that's okay with you three.
Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. All right,
Okay, cool.
take it away.
Well, welcome everyone. Today's about exploring how gyms and coaches can play a much bigger role in their communities, and so that's particularly within education and youth development spaces. So, over the past few years, we've seen a growing gap between young people and physical activity, especially with school, where the time, resources, and confidence to deliver in strength training are often limited. So, Graham, Kate, and myself have various different experiences, but all come under the same banner. We firmly believe that affiliates can be central community points and can welcome young people not only inside their doors, but they can go out into their community to really benefit and uh, other aspects. So again, schools. Right. So my name's Hannah Davis. Who am I? I am the director of the Academy program. We are a community interest company who works around three nations, connecting NGBs, affiliates, and young people to young people in schools and educational sectors. Okay.
Hi. So I'm Kate, and I'm the director of CrossFit Shropshire Alternative Provision. So Graham, who will introduce himself in a second, he runs the gym side of it, and I run the alternative provision.
Hey, buddy, I'm Graham. Yep, I started CrossFit Shropshire. I think we were like the 12th affiliate, so we've been doing it quite a while, and um, we're going to be talking a bit more about kind of how we help children um, a lot. So thanks for having us here, and thank you.
Fabulous. So, I've already touched upon the reason as to how we've come together. But at the same time, gyms owned coaches hold a huge amount of knowledge, skill, culture that can be influenced the next generation. So this session is how we connect those two worlds together, how coaching principles we use in the everyday, use every day in the gym can translate into structured programs within schools and communities. And we'll be looking at the problem we're facing, the solution that we've been developing through not only the academy but also being delivered at CrossFit Shropshire and CrossFit Shropshire Alternative Provision, and how affiliates can start building meaningful partnerships with councils and local organisations. So your three takeaways that you're going to get today are how to build partnerships with schools, councils, and organisations, how to deliver social value and how it strengthens your gym's identity, retention, and local impact, and how to turn coaching first values into structured youth programs that create opportunity for your business, your coaches, and the next generation.
So I'm going to start off with the first section. So CrossFit gyms have a huge potential to create a really, really positive impact in the community, just, not just for its adult members, but also for young people. So I was a teacher back in the day, and then stepped into the world of mental health and fitness, and hence why Graham and I collaborated and we set up an alternative provision. So this is one really, really powerful way to create a partnership with your local schools, with your local councils, and then you can reach more young people and have a wider impact. Creating that partnership with schools also then opens up opportunities for funding. So we've gone through that process ourselves, and we were able to reinvest into the gym, which has then also benefited the members as well. So alternative provision essentially is for those young people who are struggling in their school setting. So you've got your mainstream school and you've got your special needs schools. So students that are therefore struggling in some way, they are often put on a sort of different pathway, which will include alternative provision. So that's paid for by the schools, or by the local council. And the aim of AP is to support that student essentially to re-engage in school. Mainstream classrooms are not geared up to support every single child. Not every single child is academic, and a lot of children are really struggling with their mental health. They're really struggling in school. So AP, like a gym, for example, it gives that lovely, small, supportive environment where young people can rebuild their confidence. It gives them a really good outlet for their stress and their struggles, and to build positive connections, because for a lot of young people, they literally live on their phone and they don't have very many real life face-to-face positive connections. There might be a disconnection for them in school with their peers, with staff. And there are so many different alternative provisions out there. So you might have an alternative provision that is based on hair and beauty, football, forest school, but a gym is an amazing environment for an alternative provision for young people. So you can focus on lots of different things as an AP, but physical activity is such a great way to support young people, as you will know from your work in gyms. Hannah, next slide, please. So the type of young people that need alternative provision are those that are typically struggling with behaviour. So you will often see it presented as difficult behaviour in school. These are not bad kids, though. These are kids that maybe underneath that behaviour that they're presenting with at school, they're actually experiencing anxiety or all sorts of different mental health challenges. This can lead to them then being at risk of exclusion, and that traditional classroom setting is often really overwhelming for a lot of students, and they just need that different environment where they can actually succeed. So, we see these young people come to us, they are capable, they are lovely human beings, and they just need somebody to believe in them and to almost take that break from school, and have a different approach. Next slide, Hannah, thanks. So alternative provision exists because schools have a responsibility to make sure that these young people that are struggling can somehow continue their learning and continue developing and receive some kind of intervention and support. And often school can't really provide this. A lot of schools do have nurture rooms and they have their pastoral team, but for alternative provision, the student actually comes off the school site and goes to the setting. And so then within that AP setting, we can still provide structure and routine, but it's far more flexible. And, gym coaches, they make amazing positive role models, and they're already really good at creating those positive connections because they do it all the time in their classes and their sessions. And then those students can come and have that time to talk and opportunities to rebuild confidence, which in a gym setting, again, rebuilding confidence is something that, is something that naturally happens, isn't it? So the goal for alternative provision essentially is to help young people re-engage with education and improve their well-being, confidence, and move forward positively. Next slide. So I've already touched on this, but why are gyms great for alternative provision? So loads of students are struggling with regulating themselves. Lots of young people really struggle with this anyway, as we do as adults. And movement is a great physical outlet. So that's an obvious one, I think. Again, with the positive role models that our young people need, coaches are building those strong, trusted relationships already in their roles, and that's really transferable to young people. Fitness really helps people develop confidence and achieve things that, maybe they're not seeing any achievement in mainstream school, but they can certainly, step into a gym and achieve something. And again, being in a gym for young people, it's just like a really cool environment to be in. It doesn't feel like school, and so they lower their guard, their guard is dropped, and it helps them to re-engage. And if they can see that they can re-engage in a gym setting, that can be transferred then back into their school. So yeah, gyms are fantastic for this. Next slide. So Graham's going to take over now.
Hey everybody, yep, Graham here. So this is a bit of a personal kind of thing on how I went from affiliate owner running the gym to adding on the alternative provision. So basically kind of, well, personally, my son's very dyslexic and he was struggling very much so trying to keep up with the mainstream schooling. And like Hannah said, kind of mainstream school isn't really for everybody, and kind of the way the education system works is kind of everyone is forced to try and do all the academic things, and that just isn't for everybody. And I kind of saw different alternative provisions locally, and some of them kind of weren't being run kind of very well. And I kind of thought, we have a great gym here set up with amazing coaches, amazing community. Let's see if we can kind of do this for young people as well. And the whole point really is to have a powerful impact on as many people as possible. So we're trying our best to help all the young people to rebuild their confidence, have self-belief, and understand that you haven't got to really be good at school to still get on well with life, really. And the other part of it is I built the gym really not just to build up our clients, but also to provide meaningful careers for staff. And so this has been a great opportunity to kind of fill kind of gym dead time with meaningful work, and being able to pay decent wages to staff as well. So it's been like a win-win scenario. And also, we've been lucky enough to actually own our own site, but comes with that, we have to then, do all the big capital purchases of things. So with all the money that came in with AP in the first year, we were able to build a toilet block, build extra offices like the one I'm in, and it was definitely a win-win for everybody. Next slide, please. So this is how it kind of works in CrossFit Shropshire. There's the gym side, and I'm the affiliate owner. We have a gym manager in to make sure everything runs well, and to be honest, he organises me far more than I organise him. And we have 3 coaches, and everybody is part-time, to be honest. But all those hours added up would make to probably around kind of maybe 2 full-time members of staff. We do classic kind of classes and PT. So we do CrossFit classes. We have diversified, and we do Pilates and yoga and functional patterns. But yeah, it does say CrossFit on the door, and that's our main kind of way of doing things. And we do those classes in PT Monday to Sunday all the time. We try and fill the space as often as we can. And at the moment, we are doing our AP from Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And Kate is in charge of the AP. And then the AP is set up as its own community interest company, which Kate will go more in depth with later. Next slide, please.
Had myself on mute then. So the academy program, we started, it's a separate organisation, obviously, to Kate and Graham. We started in 2021 in Blueprint CrossFit, so that's in Worcester. A group of members, so it's been born from the community, came together and wanted to provide a respite for looked after children, which are children in care or known to the care system. They wouldn't let us have any young people unless we could demonstrate an educational outcome. So myself and a group of teachers who are members there wrote a level 1, which is up to a C grade. So it's the level 1 is the qualification you take before PCSE. It was based on the CrossFit methodology, and it is currently being delivered in multiple schools around 3 nations. What we do is we help NGB, so we've worked with British indoor rowing, British weightlifting, powerlifting, British functional fitness, either embed their sport into schools or help them access young people. We've worked with active partnerships around England, the Association of Colleges, so again, within the college sector, and we've started to work with universities. We have helped 60 plus schools, colleges and unis, either upskill their teachers for CrossFit level 1, buy equipment, so that's £500,000, so £500,000 plus in kit, upskill teachers, embed the CrossFit methodology and register them as non-profit affiliates. We've helped design the British Weightlifting School Games offer, and contributed to the bid to Sport England to have functional fitness recognised as a sport. We also run a pastoral care programme for young athletes because we very much recognise that young athletes in the space maybe need assistance through financial, psychological or access to opportunities. And we've just recently launched our PE delivery service for primary schools. That's connecting affiliates into primary schools for their coaches to, again, deliver PE. So we have a very overarching national view. And what's so great is that we're able to provide access to information to other organisations and link up affiliates like CrossFit Shropshire who are delivering on the ground. Okay, over to you.
So I just wanted to go through a sort of summary of how to actually set up an alternative provision. So deciding who you might want to help, that group of young people might be primary school age, it might be secondary school age, it could even be post 16. Whether you wanted to support those students where behaviour is the biggest problem that is presenting for them at school, or whether it's more that group of people who are withdrawing from school, maybe because of mental health struggles, or you may want to cross over into special needs and support that group of people. So deciding on who you want to help if you were to set up an alternative provision is really key. And then deciding things like the name of your alternative provision, which might just be your gym name with AP at the end, and what your aims are. So what you're aiming to focus on to support those young people to improve and get back onto a positive pathway. And then have a program that you can run. So a fitness program for young people. There will naturally be mentoring that will happen alongside that. You may also want to bring in some specific sessions around emotional well-being, emotional intelligence as part of that. We've designed all of these programs. So if you were at a point after this where you thought, oh yeah, alternative provision, starting something like that for young people sounds amazing and that aligns with what we want to do as a gym, we can support you with all of this. So you don't have to start from scratch at all. Then there's another decision to make about whether you would want to become a community interest company. So we didn't start as a community interest company until about a year into business of running the alternative provision. But Hannah, could you just go to the next slide quickly for me? So we decided to become a community interest company purely because that unlocks access to funding, which we wouldn't have had before. So we weren't non-profit before, whereas we are now. But I won't go through all this in detail, but just as a quick summary, a community interest company it's regulated. You need to be registered with Companies House. You have to prove that you are going to follow all of those regulations of a community interest company. It's not quite like being a charity, but there are similarities between being a charity and a CIC. There's things like having an asset lock on there where you have to prove what you've used the funding for, and you can reinvest your profits back into the business as well. So if you just go back to the previous slide for me, Hannah. This is obviously something that we can support you with along the way. You've also got to ensure that you've got policies and risk assessments in place, that your insurance covers this sort of work, and safeguarding. If you're going to work with young people, safeguarding is incredibly important. So that's anything from securing your site, making sure that your site is safe, that you've got cameras around, and that your staff are DBS checked as well. There's something out there called the Department for Education Voluntary Standards for Unregistered APs. So these are just standards that you would have to make sure that you're following, basically, to be in line with a setting that is safe to have young people. And then you can start contacting schools and making those partnerships with schools and the local authority as well to start marketing your alternative provision. So I'll just go through a little bit of how you might start marketing your alternative provision. So you would need a school contact list. So your local schools in your local area, on their website, they will always have contact email addresses. Often the point of contact in a school is the assistant principal, which they will often be in charge of alternative provision, or the special needs coordinator. You can do this through just a simple email introduction. You might ring up and call them, introduce yourselves, maybe set up a meeting. We've dropped off leaflets. We've even dropped off cupcakes around our local schools to start introducing who we are and what we do. You may even find that some of your existing gym members can link you to schools. Some of your gym members may be teachers themselves. So we actually found that was true for us. So we started some of those links. We actually got a school. They kind of became our guinea pig school, and we set up with them first. There's lots of local authority conferences where you can go and you can have a market stall. You can obviously use social media. Teachers don't tend to look for alternative provision via social media like a member of the public might look for a local gym, but that's still a great way to showcase what you do. And getting sponsorship, any local companies that can get involved, obviously that helps your reach. And just regular emails to schools and the local council about what you do and who you support, offering free trials, site visits, that kind of thing.
So we hope that that's kind of looked at our first takeaways. The second topic that we'll be moving on to is how delivering social value strengthens your gym's identity, retention, and local impact. So, firstly, what is social value? It's essentially about the difference you can make in your organization that is beyond a financial profit. It's the wider impact a gym's work has on people and the community around you. So for gyms, this often happens naturally through environments we create, places where people improve, their physical health, mental well-being, confidence, social connections. So social value can also include things like creating opportunities for young people, supporting community groups, improving access to physical activity, so reducing those barriers, and helping people develop skills that lead to employment. So a lot of organisations, such as local councils, government bodies, and grant funders, are looking at social value when deciding on who they work with or where they're going to invest. So, demonstrating social value shows that your gym isn't just about business, but it's a community asset that contributes to long-term health, well-being, and opportunities within that area. All right, let's go on the next one. Graham.
Okay, so like Hannah said, kind of your organization and your culture is very important. And you might have had some times when, people were not a good fit for your gym or maybe for your life. And that potentially could be because you clash, both of you, with your core values. And it's quite an important exercise, if you haven't done it already, is to kind of work out what your own, as an affiliate owner, your core values are, to help you kind of lead and inspire how your whole culture is continuing. So core values really are the principle that guide how you behave, you make decisions and treat others. So kind of the key points really, they help to provide direction. They're kind of the compass for your own decision making. And they do create consistency to make sure you treat everybody fairly, and also that people you are hanging around with also align to your mission. It's like it does build the culture, like I said earlier, where the values shape how you interact with everybody, and when things clash, kind of things don't work properly. And if you do all this properly, it does lead to long-term success, where we're in kind of a win-win scenario where everybody's happy, healthy, and moving forwards. So if we do next slide, please. So it's quite important for you to identify your core values, and how we can do this. Reflect on meaningful experiences. Think about when you felt proud, fulfilled, motivated, and kind of what values were present in those situations. And consider what matters most to you. You might have that burning desire in your tummy to just help people. See what's important in your life, your work, and all the relationships which you have with everybody else. You could look at role models. You could see that this colleague or this celebrity might be on the path of a journey which you are inspired by. You could look kind of elsewhere. And when you're doing all this, kind of identify what's recurring, see what you are keep kind of going back to. And then really, once we've done all this, kind of write them down and make a list to kind of remind you kind of what your values are, because we are human beings at the end of the day, and we'll make mistakes. So next slide, please. And this is a very good kind of 60-second, if you just get the next bit of text up, please. Oh, somewhere. This is a 60-second.
We've had a problem, 2 seconds.
That's be, yeah, I can get to it. A 60-second kind kind of activity for you to do to see what your values are. So step one, I can talk about it while you get it up, Hannah, is think of your best moment. So think about in your life where you felt most proud, most fulfilled, and truly happy. And then kind of think about what was happening then and why did it matter to you. Then the second step is to ask yourself kind of what principles were present and what made that most important. And so for me personally, my example would be kind of helping somebody and then realizing that is service. I really enjoy helping people. So one of my values is service to others. And then working hard and succeeding. That's one thing which personally I've realized I'm driven to do. So achievement is kind of one of my values. And then supporting others is teamwork. So I'm all for teamwork, win-win scenarios, and as well. And then step three, kind of write down the values behind everything and list those. And then next step is to kind of do the opposite of that. So think about all your negative experiences. And so personally, it's kind of feeling undervalued. That kind of really gets my goat. And so you can kind of spin it around and say, well, if I personally don't like to feel undervalued, then one of my values is actually making sure I value other people. And then once you've done that, kind of make your top 3 to 5 and then say, write it down and kind of keep it close to you so you can always go back to it in your life and kind of check in. And if you have kind of emotional experiences in your life, that does really kind of get to you on a very deep level and really does go down to your core to reveal your core values. So next slide, please.
So the reason why it's really important to look at core values as a business, because that will kind of outset how you will market to yourself as an alternative provision. And it's really important to say that your primary values cannot, when you're having an alternative provision, be profit and financial. You have to have gone through your core values and they have to be, your primary values have to be deeper than putting money in the bank. So that's where your core values as a business or an affiliate and social values very much align. So it takes us on to how social value strengthens an affiliate. So we've touched on it before, like membership growth and retention. So gyms that deliver community programs often see higher retention and stronger member loyalty. Apologies, that's my dog. Members are likely to stay when they feel there's something more meaningful rather than a place to train. Obviously, we have excellent standards in terms of coaching and everything that you can do from a coaching business. However, being able to see that affiliate is outreaching beyond the walls and into their community adds that meaningful impact. So for like youth programs and school partnerships and community sessions, they also bring in parents, teachers and local networks into the gym environment, which will naturally create new membership pathways. And in many cases, youth programs can lead to family memberships and long-term development of grassroots athletes. So having a stronger reputation and community trust. So gyms that actively support schools, young people or community programs develop that strong reputation. Again, it builds trust through parents, schools, councils and local organisations. It can position the affiliate as a community asset rather than a private facility. And then having a strong reputation improves the word of mouth marketing, which is, as we all know, one of the most powerful drivers for CrossFit affiliates. So access to funding and new revenue streams. So one revenue stream is obviously the memberships through for your corporate business. But actually, if you look at access to funding, delivering social value opens up access to grant funding. As Kate's mentioned before, CICs enable you to access that outside of a private entity, a private business. However, there are restrictions, which we'll go into later, that stops you from applying to grants that are designated for charities. So you can have council funding, grant funding, and community investment that a standard private gym, like I've said, cannot access. The funding can support equipment purchases, community outreach, facility developments, as Graham's touched upon, and can reduce financial risk to the business. And it allows gyms to diversify income beyond memberships. So workforce and developing coaching opportunities. So social value programs can create coaching opportunities within the business. You can apply for development programs, like I said, for coaches, whether that be mental health, whether that be funding for additional CrossFit qualification certifications. So there are other opportunities that you can invest within your people for the gym business alongside CIC. So youth programs, school delivery and community sessions provide additional paid coaching hours, which can help with coach retention and, as I said, developing staff. And coaches can gain experience in teaching, youth development, and program delivery. So that strengthens their overall capability of the coaching team. So partnerships and local authority contracts. So gyms delivering social value are far more likely to form partnerships with schools, councils, health organisations, and community groups. They can lead to facility hire agreements, program contracts, and long-term service delivery opportunities. And once an affiliate becomes recognised as a trusted delivery partner, you often become part of the local infrastructure for health, sport, youth, and that can create long-term work. Oh, I have put in a video, which obviously Gareth and Andy will disseminate after this. I'll ask you can watch this in your own time. It just highlights the amount of investment. I have got the 2024 video as well, the amount of investment that Sport England are putting into the social value sector. So just as an overall sum, the value that they've received out of the sport and fitness industry is 107.2 billion. So opportunity is there and available for those who want it. Okay, so what does that look like when we break it down? Because it's all easy to say we want to do it, but actually it's often how do you do it and taking the first step. So there's lots of different options that can be made available. Again, it's a bit of a build your bear. It's whatever works for you in your gym and your space. PE sessions, super easy. So you can offer PE sessions out to schools. It could be for alternative provision as a way in if you don't want to go straight into registering as an alternative provision straight away. You can offer that out to primary schools where you can go in, or secondary schools where they come to you. Gonna shamelessly plug the academy qualification. If you are struggling with that, often a way to get your foot in the door is to demonstrate to the finance manager that these young people who are at risk of leaving NEET, which is at risk of leaving education without any qualifications, can come to your gym and deliver, and the coaches can deliver a 12-week block, which will then get them said qualification. A lot of the affiliates who have done that have then followed up afterwards. They've already created that trust and that commitment to delivery, and then they are able to then continue that relationship thereafter. Alternative provision, again, what we are discussing today. We've spoken about membership growth. Partnership opportunities, so that's collaborating with councils, charities. For example, the Health Movement Fund, you can get 15k from Sport England. You can get £3,000 from health funds from your local council. And these can be used to be put on short health related programs. We've spoken about social value and obviously the long-term return. Funding tips. So, as I've discussed, CRCs often cannot access funds that charities can. However, in practice, local authorities, community foundations, sports organisations are open to CIC applications. Because CICs can trade and generate income, funders usually want reassurance that the grant will be able to use to benefit the community rather than a private profit. So spoken about this already. Kate has mentioned about charities are regulated by the Charity Commission and have stricter governance rules, whereas CICs kind of slither in the gateway between private and CIC. Bear with me. Okay. So when you're applying for these applications, your organisation must have a clear community purpose. So then again, it relates back to what Graham has been saying about core values. The funds must be used to benefit the community. So we've recently ran a Strength and Sisterhood program out of CrossFit Buntingford, CrossFit B76 and Full Moon CrossFit. It targeted young girls who are in the Key Stage 3, Key Stage 4, so Key Stage 4 age category, where that is well known for them to be disengaged in sports. It introduced them to weightlifting for several aspects of the fact that a lot of young girls don't enjoy mixed sports, running around and getting sweaty, PE uniform, so lots of different barriers to entry for them to do physical activity. We picked strength or weightlifting mainly because it empowered them through being able to learn new skills. Putting a hand in a barbell can really change the outlook of young girls, and creating sisterhood, so community. Perfect. Right, so how to turn coaching first values into structured youth programs that create opportunities for your business, your coaches, and the next generation.
Okay, so coaching first values. A coaching first approach focuses on developing people so they can perform at their best. Instead of simply directing or instructing, leaders and coaches support individuals to learn, grow, and take ownership of their development. So the kind of four main values I personally think would be to develop people, to build skills, and most importantly, confidence, to be a capable person in the team and in the whole community. And you have to build a safe environment, not just physically safe, but emotionally safe for every single person who walks into your community. And also, I'd like to say that you encourage problem solving. So kind of think outside the box to help staff and clients kind of can think for themselves as well, not just relying on what being told, and so that they can then develop their own character as well. And the culture is very important. So you create a positive culture that supports learning, trust, and then continuous improvement. And next slide, please. And this is the coach avatar. We've had quite a few members of staff come through to work with us with the alternative provision, and really kind of what sets somebody kind of ahead and is a really good kind of youth coach. We've kind of identified what does work, and we're kind of seeing what hasn't worked. And the most important part really is to be a positive role model, that you demonstrate respect, discipline, and integrity at all times, because young people, they sure know when you're lying, and can definitely see through any type of negativity. And really that comes through generally caring about long-term development of others. So let's say that they've had a bit of a bad half hour with you. There's no point ruining your whole relationship over one argument. And important other kind of coaching traits or kind of traits that people need to have would be patient and supportive. Understand that young people learn and develop at different speeds and at different styles of learning. You have to be encouraging and motivating to build confidence and make sure you celebrate success because quite often, human nature, people don't always see all their wins and their successes. And it does take an external person to kind of remind you of that. Um, also, a good communicator. There's no point having all these skills and not being able to kind of get across what you really mean. So, how you adapt your communication style to the audience is very important. And also, how you kind of listen and do that kind of two-way feedback is very important. And also, we are coaching and we are here to build, fit, healthy, happy human beings. So we have to make sure that everybody does develop, but we prioritize on learning, skill development, and personal growth over winning. So it's not a competitive environment. It's how well that you are doing and you're improving for everybody's own kind of best way of doing things. And then next slide, please.
Excellent. Thanks, Graham. So I have Kate and I have created a pyramid in the best way that we can translate it to what the CrossFit community already know. So on the left-hand side, you see the CrossFit theoretical hierarchy of development. And on the right-hand side, a hierarchy of how we can transfer coaching into teaching and how you would build a structured youth program.
So at the foundation is the connection that you build with the other person. So as a gym coach, as a fitness coach, you know that connection is so important between you and those people that are coming to you to improve their fitness. And connectional teaching and coaching applies to young people as well. If there's that strong connection with that young person, you can build so much on top of that. So above that then is having a really tight curriculum where you know what your values are, you know the type of people that you're trying to help and what you're going to do to help them. So the programs that you're delivering with those young people are really important. You also then need that adaptability because these young people will come to you and they might not have had the best start to the day and you might have to go off program. It's a little bit like when you have your client for a PT session and they've got an injury and you have to adapt your session. So it's transferable like that, really. Trauma-informed practice is essential when you are working with young people, and it may be that these young people have been through a lot, seen a lot, and the way that you interact with them is really important. And being trained in a trauma-informed practice is really important. And again, we could support you with this in becoming an alternative provision. And then that's where you see transformation. So we see a lot of our young people going back into school after being out of school for a long time. We see a lot of our young people that are then happy and healthy and re-engaging, and their communication has greatly improved. Their fitness has greatly improved, their well-being, so many things have transformed for these young people. So, being a gym that can go beyond just your regular members and impact young people is incredibly rewarding.
So I won't go through it, but as it will be sent out to you. How can you deliver? I think we mix, learn, and move. So again, similar to alternative provision. This is based towards secondary students. Primary students are very different in the terms of it's around soft skills. So confidence, self-belief, teamwork, cooperation, and then each then within primary develop fine and gross motor motor skills. The only difference, I suppose, from coaching a class, which would be seen in the Moo section, is the Learn section. With this predominantly focused towards the CrossFit methodology, other alternative provisions and other programs that have been used are again around a syllabus or a curriculum, which you look at maths, English, but then also develop soft skills, which are so desperately needed for young people to develop into thriving, healthy, and happy adults. That would reduce a lot of the social issues that we now see and experience within society. So that is the end of our presentation. We are going to run through, as Kate's kindly breadcrumbed throughout, that this seems like a lot of information and sometimes can feel like a mountain to roll a boulder up. But then that's, I suppose, why you've got us and the resources that we are able to offer. So we can offer a 6-week startup, which would look at registering the CIC, the policies and procedures, so the safeguarding, the health and safety, the risk assessment, a 12-week turnkey program that gets you started and is also a CIMSA approved qualification. Looking at school and community engagement, so how do you approach them? What do you say? And then safeguarding compliance, as well as a step-by-step implementation plan.
So then we want to be able to offer ongoing mentoring. So the initial setup can be there through that 6-week program. But as we found, setting up an alternative provision, working with schools, supporting young people, it's so much easier when you've got someone who knows what they're talking about and who can guide you and train your staff and provide that ongoing support. So that mentoring package will include those monthly calls where we can review how you're getting on, support you with your next steps for development, and how to access that funding, and really support you there with that. Also then helping to build those stronger relationships with schools and ongoing advice with any program development, training your staff to deliver that program. We can offer that trauma-informed practice. There's various different approaches to behaviour and supporting young people with their well-being. And we've got all the resources there for you. So again, you've got that continued access to the materials, the updated policies, and anything else that you might need along the way.
Yes, and like if you're like me, gym owner who wants to help young people, I had no idea what to do, and that's why I got Kate involved. And now we have set up an amazing service, which I feel everybody who wants to help young people who own a gym can. If you want to help young people, then Kate is the person and Hannah to speak to get you where you want to get to. And it's a bit of a minefield, really, with all the policies and all even the technical jargon, which kind of the school world communicates in. So all the hard work really has now been done, and we are able to put this package together to ensure that anybody is trained and then can run a safe and effective alternative provision program.
Awesome. That was really informative. It's great to hear anecdotally how successful it's been for you. I think that's, really sort of like a key thing for messaging for affiliate owners and the gym managers, etc. So what would be the next steps then if someone wanted to take up the 6 week kind of setup and the mentoring? You know, is it as simple as just sending an email, or is there other things in which are required?
Yeah, best place really would be to email education@crossfitshropshire.com, and that will go straight through to Kate. And then we can start the conversation to see kind of where you are now and to make sure that we can make the best plan to get you where you want to get to.
Brilliant. Hannah's just popped that in the chat room as well. Okay, so if you just need to sort of copy and paste that one that's there. Wicked. Is there anything which there's any questions quickly in the group? I mean, we've got a couple of minutes now, but if there was anything that popped up in the from the group that someone wanted to inquire about. So from I'll ask one. Is it right to kind of say that, and I'm talking as a affiliate owner myself here now, I've got a lot of schools close to me, set up an alternative provision using a kick and then using the academy program as part of the curriculum. That's how these two kind of have amalgamated. Is that correct? Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my kind of thing from it. So like we've had previous experience with setting up a weightlifting club within the facility as a kick, and I don't know whether or not we could repurpose that as an AP with certain personnels involved, etc. So no, I will certainly take you up on having a conversation of, I've been backwards and forth with Hannah quite a bit as well, right? But I've just never really seen how we've kind of can put it in.
Big thing really is kind of schools, they want the education side of it as well as the fitness side of it. And that's where kind of having Kate, who is a qualified teacher, can then be kind of that lead on how you then teach the young people, they can still do a bit of functional maths whilst doing the calculations for their PBs and the programs and things. So having all that linked in does work really well.
I think it's a good start because they've definitely got adults who still need, what's the workout again? 21:15:9? Yeah.
And
It hasn't
coaches,
changed.
I can't count to 10.
Yeah. All right, wicked. Thank you very much. Super insightful. I mean, I think as there's no questions, I would probably think that we may in like, I don't know, about 6 months time, maybe kind of revisit, get you guys on. Hopefully after this has gone out and gone live, yeah, there may be some kind of case studies as well, which you can kind of talk to. But I think it's massively valuable in developing not only, the gym's offering and providing a better service, but the one thing which you mentioned is that coaching element, and so it's again a different string and a slightly different angle, but it will develop coaching and develop the main core business as well. So great presentation, team. I'm really, really impressed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andy. Thanks, Gareth.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Well, good luck in 26.3, everyone, and we'll catch you on the other side. All right. Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Bye.
Guys,
Bye.
bye.
Cool. Thank you, team.
Thank you, Gareth. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
No worries. Be in contact. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.